All right. Welcome, everyone. This is the Harris County Flood Control District's virtual community engagement meeting about the F-92 Bellfort area stormwater conveyance improvements and the CI-029 Plum Creek projects, which we will refer to as the Bellfort and Plum Creek project for short. Thank you for joining us. This meeting is all about keeping you informed and hearing your thoughts about what's being done to reduce the risk of flooding in your area. Your voice matters, and we appreciate you being here. I'm Robert Fricky with the Flood Control District Communications team, and I am joined by our leaders and experts to answer your questions to make sure you have the latest information about important flood mitigation, about important flood risk reduction efforts in your community. It's great to see people engaged in this project, and we look forward to keeping this conversation going. Before we dive in, we have a pre-recorded message from Harris County Precinct 2 Commissioner Adrian Garcia.
Good evening, everybody. I'm Adrian Garcia, Harris County Precinct 2 Commissioner. I want to begin with sincerely thanking everyone for taking time out of your busy schedule to join us this evening. I want you, our Precinct 2 residents, to know that we are here and ready to work for you. I want to begin by also thanking the Harris County Flood Control District for hosting this event. Tonight, we're here to learn about a project that reduces flooding in your community. We know this is top of mind for many families who have already been repeatedly impacted by flooding in their neighborhoods. As a part of my Revive to Thrive initiative, this flood prevention effort will help protect your community and make a major step toward ensuring there are fair and equitable opportunities for communities throughout Precinct 2. With Revive to Thrive, my goal is to focus on revitalization rather than allowing gentrification to be the sole contributor to improvements in our communities. By empowering communities and creating opportunities for existing neighborhoods to be more resilient, inclusive, and thriving with the right investments, resources, infrastructure commitment, and community involvement, we can all progress and thrive. Harris County works best when all communities are thriving. I am proud to be from Precinct 2, and I want everyone to know this is a great community and the greatest place to live, work, and play. This is one of the many flood mitigation projects happening in Precinct 2 aimed at improving our drainage systems to help minimize the impact of major rain events. Quality infrastructure is not only my responsibility as your county commissioner, but it is also one of my top priorities. Therefore, I've asked my team to take action and demonstrate real progress to address our community's needs with projects that make a difference and make us better prepared to weather the next storm. I hope you continue to stay engaged in this process. It's important to remember that your voice, your experience, your opinions do matter. Again, we're thankful that you joined us tonight. If you need to get in touch with my office, please visit our website, hcp2.com, hcp2.com, or call us at our call center at 713-274-2222, or follow us on all the social media platforms. We are on every major platform, including TikTok. Our doors are always open, and my team and I are happy to support you in whatever we can. Thank you, and have a good evening, and have a great meeting. Thank you.
Thank you to Commissioner Garcia. To kick things off, we'll have a presentation to let you know more about who we are and what we do. Then we'll give an overview of the Bellfort and Plum Creek projects, including key details about the project preliminary engineering, which we refer to as the PER stage, the project's timeline, and the next steps. After that, we'll move to the Q&A session, where you'll have a chance to ask questions directly to the Flood Control District team through this virtual meeting's Q&A feature. I will now hand things over to Lisa Towser, Project Communication Specialist, who will share information about the Flood Control District. Lisa, over to you.
Thank you, Robert, and thanks to everyone joining us tonight. I want to start by sharing a little bit about the Flood Control District and the important work we do. So what is the Flood Control District? In 1937, after back-to-back devastating floods hit the Houston area, the Texas legislature created the Harris County Flood Control District. Today, we are governed by the Harris County Commissioners Court, and we work closely with other local, federal agencies. One of the main reasons we were originally created was to serve as a local partner to help bring in federal funding for flood risk reduction projects. And over the nearly almost 90 years, our scope has expanded. We've invested billions of dollars in flood risk reduction projects throughout Harris County, projects that have been funded through federal, state, and local resources. In addition to these capital projects, voters approved a property tax rate increase in 2024 to bolster our efforts on the maintenance side. So this adds about $100 million annually for maintenance efforts to keep our flood damage reduction infrastructure working as it was designed and to remain effective for generations. The Flood Control District is unique in its mission because we plan and implement new projects that expand and improve our drainage network. And we also have maintenance teams working daily to keep our bayous and channels ready when the next storm hits. In fact, it's built into our mission to plan, implement, and maintain flood risk reduction projects that are guided by community and natural values. That last part, guided by community and natural values, is central to who we are as an organization and the work that we do. That's why your input at meetings like this one is so important. I'm sure it's safe to say everyone joining us probably knows Harris County is prone to flooding. We have extreme rainfall events like tropical storms and hurricanes, and our land is flat, which means stormwater often moves slowly when making its way to bayous and channels. Making things a little trickier is that our clay soils don't absorb stormwater very well. So stormwater collects on the ground, creating a pooling effect and increasing the risk of flooding. At the Flood Control District, we know the idea of flooding is a top safety concern for everyone who lives here. It's our job to reduce the risk. We're actively working on flood risk reduction projects across the watersheds of Harris County, as shown on this map, separated by color-coded watersheds. But what is a watershed? You may first notice the name of each watershed is based on a nearby bayou or body of water. The watershed is actually the colored area of land around the major bayou or body of water, which indicates where stormwater is expected to ultimately drain if rain fell in that region. Harris County is comprised of a vast system of bayous, tributaries, and other important waterways making up each watershed. And if you straightened out all of our winding channels and lined them up end to end, they would stretch all the way from the state of New York to the state of California. And that's more than 2,500 linear miles. The projects we're presenting tonight are an important part of the county's drainage network. They're located in the Sims Bayou watershed. In addition to the unincorporated areas of Harris County, we have 32 municipalities within our boundaries. Our agency can partner with these other cities, precincts, and local agencies on important flood risk reduction projects in their respective communities. And bayous and channels are just one piece of the county's drainage network. While the Flood Control District plays a critical role in reducing flood risks, we're actually part of a much larger effort. At your home and in neighborhoods across the county, storm sewers and roadside ditches collect stormwater runoff and move it away from homes and streets. Now, those drainage systems are typically managed by the Harris County Engineering Department, a municipal utility district, or a city, like the city of Houston. The stormwater then makes its way to the larger bayous and channels, which are managed by the Flood Control District before finally heading out to Galveston Bay. We take our role in flood risk reduction for Harris County very seriously, and we leverage different types of funding opportunities for projects that can help reduce the risk of flooding in our region. One important source of funding comes from the 2018 bond program. This program consists of the original $2.5 billion in bond funds that were approved by Harris County voters in 2018. Plus an additional $2.7 billion secured through partnerships with 27 unique partners, for a combined total of approximately $5.2 billion for flood risk reduction efforts. Significant progress has been made on the bond program, which has led to remarkable flood risk reduction across Harris County. The bond dashboard, which is displayed on the slide, ensures residents have clear, ongoing access to the status of the 2018 bond program. The dashboard features a searchable interactive map to find bond projects in your area. Also, financial summaries and a breakdown of funding sources. Finally, project details are included, such as life cycle milestones, timelines, and funding expectations. To view the dashboard and learn more about the bond program, visit hcfcd.org/2018-bond-program. It's important to note that even though voters approved $2.5 billion for the 2018 bond program, the estimated total cost of every project on the bond project list is actually much higher than that. Many bond IDs began with feasibility studies or preliminary engineering to help determine what projects were possible and how much they may cost. So far, we've secured more than $2.7 billion in partner funding to help move projects forward across Harris County. Each funding partner has its own guidelines. For example, some partners fund only certain types of projects, while others ask for a local contribution. The Flood Control District has an experienced and dedicated team that works hard to match each project with the right funding opportunities. This way, every dollar goes further to bring the most benefit to the community. Now let's take a look at each of the funding sources for these two projects. After voters approved the 2018 bond, the Flood Control District initiated bond IDs F-92 and CI-029. The bond program allocated approximately $14 million for the Bellfort area Stormwater Conveyance Improvement Project and $15 million for the Plum Creek Channel Conveyance Improvement Project. We also secured $10 million in partnership funding from the City of Houston for the Plum Creek project. The current estimated total budget for the Bellfort project is approximately $14 million, and the total budget for the Plum Creek project is approximately $25 million. Now that I've shared some key background information, let's get into the important details about these projects. As we go through project details, feel free to drop comments or questions into the Q&A box. And with that, I'll hand it over to Jonathan St. Romain with the Partnerships and Programs Division of the Flood Control District. He'll share more about the Sims Bayou watershed and these two projects. Jonathan, over to you.
Thank you, Lisa. First, I'll briefly share some background details about the project, including where it's located, the recommended design, its timeline, and the next steps. The Bellfort and Plum Creek projects are in the Sims Bayou watershed within Harris County Precinct 2. The map on the screen shows Harris County limits, and the Sims Bayou watershed is outlined in purple. The two project locations are indicated by the yellow stars. We'll show you a closer view of the project areas in the upcoming slides. The Sims Bayou watershed covers about 94 square miles and includes two primary streams, Sims Bayou and Berry Bayou. There are about 121 miles of open streams within the watershed, including the primary streams and tributary channels. Structural flooding has occurred numerous times along Sims Bayou and its tributaries. The majority of the structures that are flood-prone were built prior to the existence of detailed floodplain maps and prior to floodplain management regulations. However, the now completed Sims Bayou Federal Project, which includes channel conveyance improvements and 2 regional stormwater detention basins in the upper reaches of the watershed, has significantly reduced the risk of flooding along Sims Bayou. And this brings us to where we are today. The visual on this slide shows the standard life cycle of a flood risk reduction project. And while every project is unique, they all follow a similar path, and there are certain milestones we expect to hit along the way. This meeting is one of the final steps in completing the preliminary engineering lifecycle stage for both the Bellfort and Plum Creek projects. So we'll now take a closer look at the Bellfort Area Stormwater Conveyance Improvement Project, which originated as part of a planning study in 2022. This map shows the location of the project adjacent to Bellfort Street and the Sims Bayou main stem. The original planning study limits are shown in black between Mykawa Road and Telephone Road, and between Sims Bayou and Long Drive. This area represents the C116-0000 sub-watershed, which is about 400 acres in size. The C116 sub-watershed is serviced by a storm sewer trunk line, which is indicated in red on the map. The C116 trunk line includes the following: 14 storm sewer outfalls and a roadside ditch along Westover Street. The objective of this project is to reduce the risk of flooding in the Bellfort Street area, or the C116 sub-watershed, by increasing the capacity of the existing drainage system. But before we go further, I'd like to explain what a trunk line is and share some history of the C116 drainage system. A trunk line is a large capacity pipeline that collects and conveys stormwater from smaller local sewer or drainage systems to a final discharge point, which in this case would be the Sims Bayou main stem channel. The C116 system was originally an open channel system flowing above ground. During the 1940s, the area was predominantly undeveloped, so a flood control district easement was placed around a portion of the open channel. Development started in the late 1940s, and by 1978, most of the present-day commercial and residential lots were developed. Tributary C116 was fully converted into a trunkline system in the late 1970s. It's important to note that improvements to storm sewer networks and enclosed systems are not typically within the jurisdiction of the flood control district. 3 alternatives were evaluated during the PER stage, or the preliminary engineering stage. Alternative 1 recommends the construction of a 5,070 linear foot, 78-inch reinforced concrete pipe storm sewer, with 8 interconnections to the existing storm sewers at various locations and an outfall into Sims Bayou. Alternative 2 recommends an 84-inch pipe with similar alignment and components as Alternative 1. And Alternative 3 recommends various sizes between 72-inch and 96-inch pipes with similar alignments and components as Alternative 1. Of the 3 options analyzed, Alternative 1 was recommended as the preferred option for reducing the flood risk based on acres, roadway miles, and structures benefited. Alternatives 2 and 3 had higher construction costs with limited additional benefits as compared with the preferred option of Alternative 1. The trunk line is proposed to be constructed within the existing easements and will improve conveyance in combination with the existing storm sewer. It will cross 2 streets at Richwood Street and Westover Street and include segments along La Paseo Street, Beaudark Street, Kingsway Drive, and Bellfort Avenue. Shown on this slide are the existing conditions that necessitated this project. Currently, most of the project area channels, including along the Sims Bayou main stem, have less than a 25-year storm sewer system capacity, which is the amount of stormwater the channel can hold before overtopping its banks. Flooding of homes and businesses located near where the tributary and main stem connect has occurred numerous times, including flood levels throughout the watershed brought on by Tropical Storm Allison in 2001 and Harvey in 2017. Significant floodplains and residential developments constructed along Sims Bayou decades ago, prior to modern building elevation requirements, have resulted in significant damage during flood events. So, I want to take a few minutes to cover another term that we mentioned earlier. Throughout the presentation, we'll be using terms like 100-year event and annual chance event, and I'm going to clarify what that means. A 1% annual chance event, or 100-year event, is a rainfall event that has a 1% chance of occurring in any given year. That doesn't mean if you have a 1% annual chance event this year, you're good for another 100 years. It's just simply a statistical measure of the expected rainfall frequency based on historical averages and data that we've collected. Additionally, the floodway, shown in the darkest shade of blue, is where the water is likely to be deepest and fastest during extreme weather events. It's the area of the floodplain that should be kept free of obstructions to allow floodwater to keep moving downstream along our drainage system and away from homes and roadways. This slide shows the estimated benefits for the Bellfort area stormwater conveyance improvement project. You can see on the chart, the project is estimated to remove the 100-year regulatory floodplain for more than 26 structures, 29 acres, and about 1.08 miles of roadway. Now that I've provided an update on the project and anticipated benefits, let's take a look at the timeline and next steps. When following our project lifecycle, after the PER stage comes the design and then construction stage. We anticipate this project completing its PER stage during the fourth quarter of 2025. The design stage should begin around the first quarter of 2026. And based on our current timeline, we anticipate construction to start after the completion of final design in the first quarter of 2028. And if everything progresses according to plan, construction could be completed by the first quarter of 2030. We'll next take a closer look at the Plum Creek project. It's also called Tributary C-102, and the channel is owned and maintained by the City of Houston and is located in Harris County Precinct 2. This map shows the location of the Plum Creek Channel Conveyance Improvements, which is between Keller Street to the north, Office City Drive to the south, I-610 Frontage Road to the east, and the I-45 Frontage Road to the west. The project area has been divided into 3 primary channel segments as illustrated on this map. Segment 1 in red is from the upstream project limit at I-45 Frontage Road to the cross culverts at Office City Drive. From there, segment 2 in yellow begins at the cross culverts under Office City Drive to the Berkeley Street Bridge. And then from there, segment 3, shown in green, is from the Berkeley Street Bridge to the downstream project limit at the I-610 Frontage Road. The objective of the project is to reconstruct the concrete line channel to provide greater channel stability while ensuring the proposed modifications do not create adverse impacts to other areas along the channel. Of the 4 options analyzed during the planning stage of this project, Alternative 3 was recommended as the preferred option. However, the 4 options analyzed were all similar in their reconstruction approach, with only slight variations with the channel configurations, heights, and project costs. Alternative 3 consists of an open channel configuration with higher retaining walls to minimize steep side slopes along the channel. The height of the retaining walls varies from 6 feet to 10 feet across the 3 segments, depending on existing ground elevations and design requirements. The recommended alternative does not increase the risk of flooding along the channel. Shown on this slide are the existing conditions that necessitated the project. Currently, the project area along Plum Creek has between a 50 and 100 year level of service or stormwater carrying capacity. Flooding of homes and businesses located near where the tributary and main stem connect has occurred numerous times, including flood levels throughout the watershed brought on by Tropical Storm Allison in 2001 and Harvey in 2017. So let's quickly define what we call channel conveyance improvements and explain how they help with flood risk reduction. Simply put, channel conveyance improvements are engineered modifications or changes to a waterway that help the channel move more stormwater, especially during heavy rain events. This is usually accomplished by widening or deepening the channel or a combination of both. The Plum Creek Channel Improvements is a rehabilitation project designed to enhance the channel's overall conveyance capacity. Proposed improvements extend alongside the full length of the project, providing greater channel stability throughout the project limits. And now that I've provided an update on the Plum Creek project and anticipated benefits, let's take a look at the timeline and next steps. When following our project lifecycle, after the PER stage comes the design and then construction stage. We anticipate this project completing its PER stage during the fourth quarter of 2025, and then the design stage should begin around the first quarter of 2026. Based on our current timeline, we anticipate construction to start after the completion of final design in the second quarter of 2027. And if everything progresses according to plan, construction could be completed by the second quarter of 2029. And again, we appreciate you attending this meeting to learn more about our work. It's now time to hear any questions and comments that you'd like to ask or share. So I'll hand it back to Robert to kick off the Q&A.
Thank you, Jonathan. Before we move into the Q&A, I just want to say again, we truly value your input. Your feedback helps shape this project and others happening across Harris County. Every comment and question we get tonight will be considered as we move forward, and the conversation does not end here. If you'd like to stay updated, ask more questions, or sign up for our mailing list, please visit hcfcd.org/F-92 or CI-029. As a reminder, you can use the Q&A feature through this virtual meeting to submit a question or comment while we're together tonight. I want to point out that any questions we don't get to during tonight's Q&A will receive a response after the meeting. Information from this meeting and a recording of this live stream will be available on our website and YouTube channel. Joining Jonathan for our Q&A session tonight are Hanny, Emmanuel, and Pooja with the project team. Now it's time to take some of your questions. Our first question for this evening is for Emmanuel, but other panelists can also contribute. How do these projects compare in size to other projects across Harris County?
Thank you. Thank you so much for that question. It's a great one. Now, I'll begin with the Bellfort area project, the Bellfort area conveyance improvements project. This project is about a mile of storm sewer, improvements. Now, for this project is not, a typical. First of all, storm sewer improvements and enclosed system improvements are not typical projects that the flood control district typically handles. And so what happens is that the length of about a mile is kind of medium for channel improvements. Plum Creek, on the other hand, is also about a mile, but it's a maintenance project. We have lots of maintenance projects that the district handles. So subjectively, I would say it's about a medium size because we have much shorter sections of maintenance improvement projects. And then for Bellfort area, like I said, it's a storm sewer improvement project, which the district typically doesn't handle. But relative to other, storm sewer improvement projects that have been done, I would consider it, also as relatively medium, because this is more of the installation of a trunk line, while we have had some, storm sewer improvement projects that have been implemented in subdivisions, in partnership with, other jurisdictions. So relatively, I would say they're both medium-sized projects compared to other similar projects that have been implemented. Thank you.
Thanks, Emmanuel. Our next question is for Hanny. Hanny, how do you weigh the different project alternatives and pick the best one?
Thank you for that question. Yeah, this is a very good question. Like normally, when we have a PER, we analyze like several alternatives for each PER, and we already consider several attributes that we are considered like a right-of-way acquisition, some environmental constraints, and other aspects that we already analyzed for different alternative, also considering the benefits that we already having for different alternative. And then we create like a matrix for all those, and based on the most benefits, and also we consider the cost, we already choose the recommended one, or the consultant already do some analysis just to choose the recommended alternative. This is how we typically go through the different alternative in the PER.
All right, thanks, Hanny. Our next question is for Jonathan. Jonathan, is it harder to do projects in older neighborhoods like this? And what's different about this versus an area with newer development?
Yeah, that's a great question. Yes, it is harder to do projects in older neighborhoods like this. And we like to tell people it really is true that the easy projects are gone. They just all seem to be these hard projects that are that are in older neighborhoods that are difficult to manage. In really, when we look at newer neighborhoods in newer developed areas, the flood control district doesn't have very many projects in those areas because of the new development criteria that's been in place for at least a couple, 2, 3 decades now. And so really, if you look at a map of most flood control district projects, especially in the bond program, they are in these older neighborhoods. And when we look specifically at these two, especially C-116 in the older neighborhood, I think you see it's a pretty typical project that we have that is difficult in a constrained and fairly densely populated area. And so that provides most of the challenge for us in terms of space. Now, for C-116, we do have the flood control district does have ownership of the easement where that trunk line storm sewer is, and so we're fortunate here in that there's not property acquisition that has to take place, and so that's something that helps us out here. But it is difficult to do these projects where we're constrained. If we look at the C-102 Plum Creek project, that's a good example of a rehabilitation project where we don't really have the room to widen that out. We mentioned in the presentation that it's already a concrete line project, and I know that folks, we don't like concrete line facilities, and folks don't like to hear that we have these concrete line facilities. But because of the land use in the area, and in order to not have a concrete line channel, we would need a lot more space, right? We need to widen that out because it's the steepness of the channel that requires concrete to be on those slopes. And so the age of the neighborhood and the fact that it's a more densely populated area really constrains us from a spatial perspective, and forces us to do a rehabilitation on what's an existing concrete line channel, and it will remain concrete line for the most part. And that just limits our options when we look at rehabilitation of channels in areas like this.
Thanks, Jonathan. Our next question is for Emmanuel. Emmanuel, how was this project identified?
Thank you. Thank you so much for that as well. So the Bellfort project area, the Bellfort area project rather, was identified by a planning study in 2022. And that was based on factors such as historical flooding. Now, the original planning study limits was between Maikawa Road and Telephone Road, and between Sims Bio and Long Drive. This area represents the C116 subwatershed, which is about 400 acres in size. Now, moving on to the Plum Creek project. This project is a community input project, what we'll term as a community input project, and it was identified and recommended by area residents and stakeholders. It was initiated in around 2023, and Plum Creek, which is also known as tributary C102-00-00, is owned and maintained by the City of Houston. Now, both projects, that's the Plum Creek and the Bellfort area project, are located within the limits of Precinct 2. Thank you, Robert.
Thanks, Emmanuel. Our next question is for Pooja. Pooja, please recap the project for those who may have joined the meeting late by please restating the project objectives.
Okay, sure. The objective of the Bellfort area stormwater conveyance improvement project is to reduce a risk of flooding around the Bellfort Street. Now you can see the screen. My apologies. Bellfort Street area, that is a C116 subwater set, by constructing a parallel storm sewer trunk line to increase the capacity of the existing drainage system. On the other hand, there is a Plum Creek project. The objective is to reconstruct the concrete line channels to provide a greater channel stability, while ensuring the proposed modifications do not create adverse impact to other neighborhood along the channel.
All right,
Thank
thanks,
you.
Pooja. Our next question is for Hanny. Hanny, and this was also touched on during the presentation, but Hanny, can you please talk a bit more about the funding sources for this project?
Yes, sure. These projects are an example of how we fund projects with multiple funding sources. Often when we look to find funding sources, we have to seek multiple partners to match each project with the right funding opportunities. This way, every dollars go further to bring the most benefit to the community. The 2018 bond program allocated $13.6 million for the Bellfort project and $15 million for the Plum Creek project. The City of Houston partnered with us on the Plum Creek project and provided $10 million. The current estimated total project budget for the Bellfort area stormwater conveyance improvement project is approximately $13.6 million, and the total budget project for Plum Creek is approximately $25 million.
All right, thanks, Hanny. And our next question, let's see, sorry about that. Our next question is for Pooja. Pooja, what happens during design, and why do we need to do more engineering work versus just starting construction?
Yeah, thank you, Robert. So, once the recommended alternative is selected in a PER, we initiate a design service. In a design one, we will do a detailed analysis of a selected alternative. For example, if the projects need a right-of-way area to build the drainage projects, so we start acquiring the project. We start the process to acquiring the land. Similarly, if there is a utilities conflict in a preliminary engineering, we just do a preliminary type in a early stage utilities analysis. But in a detail, during a design phase, we do our detail utilities analysis, if there is any conflict or not. Similarly, there is a geotechnical analysis because all our channel slope and detention basin slope depends on our geotechnical report. So our detailed geotechnical analysis also occur in a design. Also, the H&H analysis that will actually determine what will be the benefit and also the cost. Based on a cost, our contractor will bid the project. So to do all the detailed analysis of the recommended alternative, we need a detailed analysis in a design phase. So our contractor can bid, and we do have constructions documents in hand, so it can ready to build in a site.
All right, thanks, Pooja. Our last question for this evening is for Jonathan. Jonathan, how can I or anybody get a job with the Flood Control District?
I can put in a good word for you, Robert. No, I think if you can go to our website, hcfcd.org, and there should be a button on our homepage that says "Work with Us," and that'll bring you right to the page of where we've got our openings. And I know we've got a good little list of openings, and we'd love to have anybody who is ready and willing to work for our organization to help reduce flood risk across Harris County. We really have a lot going on, and we're looking for good folks to work with us.
All right, thanks, Jonathan. And with that, thank everyone again. I would like to thank everyone again for joining us and being part of this important conversation. If you think of questions or comments later, or if you're watching this video on replay and have something you want to add, please submit a comment on the Harris County Flood Control District's website at hcfcd.org/F-92 or CI-029. We will work continuously. We will continuously share updates on this project as our work moves forward. So be sure to sign up for updates on our website and follow us on social media to stay up to date on what we're doing in your neighborhood and beyond. And before we end tonight's meeting, we have a couple of important reminders. We encourage everyone to sign up for alerts from the Harris County Flood Warning System. These near real-time alerts can be customized to specific areas, such as where you live, work, and commute, to help you stay informed and prepared. To sign up, visit fwsalerts.org. To view the tool's interactive map and monitor rainfall and water levels along the bayous and channels, visit harriscountyfws.org. We also encourage everyone to get flood insurance. People usually think about flood insurance around the hurricane season, which runs from June to November, but flood season is year-round in Harris County, and we urge you to protect your home and property. Thank you all, stay safe, and have a good evening.